Hi guys, my name is Kristin Hicks. I am the Story Studio coordinator here at Inner City Youth Alive. The Story Studio being our newest program that we just launched about a month ago. And I figured it was about time that I sat down and gave you guys a little bit of the story behind the Story Studio. I feel it's kind of appropriate that that be kind of one of the first just raw stories that we post on here. A bit of a background behind the Story Studio. We first kind of thought of the idea, it was about 2 years ago, and it kind of happened by accident. At the time, we were planning our 30th anniversary, our gala event, and so the theme was a shared story. And just in brainstorming for that event, we were talking about getting old staff and former youth, now young adults that used to come to our programs years ago. We were planning on getting as many old stories to kind of take like a walk down memory lane. And from that, just someone made a comment of, man, we need a space where people can come and just record these stories because they're so good to have, and it's so good to take time and look back on where you've come from to where you are now. And just when that happened, a bit of a light bulb went off of, yeah, we definitely need to do this. And so that's where the Story Studio kind of originated. And from there, we just took it and we ran with it. Now, I just want to kind of take a break there and give you a little bit of my own personal background history and how I just really resonate with the Story Studio. After I went to high school, I took a year off, didn't know what I wanted to do for schooling, and then eventually I found a school here in Winnipeg. It's called Mid-Ocean School for Media Arts. MOSMA is what I was going to say. And yeah, at the time, it was just a 6-month course, and basically, it's all the training that you need to get into the sound technician and mixing and producing field. And I loved it. Everything about it was just so in line with what I'm all about. And so, yeah, those 6 months flew by. And then from there, one of my first jobs I got from there was at a local radio station, CHVN, and Ignite 107, which unfortunately is no longer around. But I worked there for about 2.5 years. I had just a big mix of different jobs when I was there. I started as the summer intern, and then they decided to keep me around. I ended up on air for pretty much the whole time that I was there. On top of that, I started also producing some commercials and other things for the stations. I was one of the producers, which again was right in line with what I did with my schooling, and I just loved it. But I mean, not everything continues the way you necessarily want it to. So when Ignite 107 was being changed for the format, I took it really, really hard. And then I kind of started going downhill, just mental health wise. I had a big battle with anxiety and depression. I actually took 6 months off from that. And it wasn't my first time struggling with anxiety and depression, but this was the first time that I took that time off and I really wanted to take it seriously. I was being really intentional of doing my best to open up and talk to other people. I think some people that I was connecting with at that time might say otherwise, but I was trying really hard, and something that I would always tell my therapist and other people that I was connecting with, that I always felt like I was going through that for a reason. I just didn't at the time know what that reason was. Anyways, fast forward 6 months through that time, I went back to work, and I just felt like it wasn't for me anymore, working at the radio station there. So I left there and then was unemployed for 6 months. And so I was, just job hunting, and I was going for jobs that I had no business going for, and so I had given out my resume over 100 times and I got barely any callbacks. So eventually I got a little bit discouraged. And then a friend of mine said, hey, Inner City Youth Alive is hiring. You should go for it. I knew nothing about Inner City Youth Alive whatsoever. I knew nothing about the community. At that point, I really just needed a job, and it sucks to say that, but I mean, God works in such cool and mysterious ways, far beyond what we can even conceptualize. So I started working here. And at the beginning, it was just a job. I was relieved to finally have somewhere to go from 9 to 5 every day. But it didn't take long for me to fall in love with the mission here at Inner City Youth Alive, to fall in love with the staff, the youth that come here, and then just the community as a whole. So it went from just being a job to I knew I wanted to do more here at Inner City Youth Alive, and for a while I couldn't figure out where exactly I was supposed to fit, because I felt like I had something to bring to the table, and for a while I was just, doing my work, and I feel like I was doing my work well, but it wasn't until we started talking about the story studio that I really felt like that was it. This is what I myself, Kristin, was supposed to do here at Inner City Youth Alive. Because I mean, it takes my sound training from when I went to Mid-Ocean. It takes just the skills that I learned when I worked at the radio station. Believe it or not, I used to be incredibly shy. I have an old nursery school teacher that's now friends with my mom, and she didn't see us for a long, long time. And one day she saw us at church, and she comes up and she says, "Are you Kristin? I remember you as being the one that would cling to my mom's leg every single morning." That's how shy I was. But yeah, I kind of just came out of my bubble, and working at the radio station, I was in situations that I never would have thought that I would ever be in, of emceeing concerts and just flat out being on air. I learned how to share stories. I learned how to interview people as well. And that's one place that I also learned about just the impact that a story can have. And then on top of that, just with the whole anxiety and depression, doing a lot of work in that time with my therapist, and just learning how to dig deep, and just learning about the freedom that comes when you tell someone else your stuff. Mental health, for me, it was a big thing where I would keep everything in, and then all my thoughts and my worries and stuff, they would always just distort and they would grow. But what I found is when I shared it with someone, whether it was verbally or even just writing it down, all of my thoughts and my worries, they would kind of just stay at that, and they wouldn't be able to grow and morph and stuff like that. So I felt, and I have personally experienced big time, just the power of telling your story. And so being part of the story studio now, and being able to encourage that out of other people, and just providing a space where people can just share, it means so much to me, and I'm so excited that we finally launched. Just some details about the story studio. We wanted to keep it just kind of raw. So when you get these stories of people sharing their testimonies, it's going to be just uncut, unscripted. You have the big microphone in our face. We wanted just that just different look to it. And then on top of it, about the mic specifically, this is how the camera sounds without the microphone. I myself am an audio person, so I much prefer having a microphone in our face, because it just sounds a lot better. But the microphones, they're also just, they're for practicality. So for telling our stories, what we wanted to provide, again, a space where people can just be open and share their stories. But we also wanted to provide a lot of different ways for people to do that, because not everyone feels comfortable just coming and sitting and talking in front of a camera. And that's okay. And we want to honor that, and we want to respect that. So when people are using the story studio, they can sit down in front of a camera and they can talk. We have a few different seats and stuff, so we can get a few people in all at the same time if they want to kind of just do interview style. We can take these really nice microphones and we can record music as well. We've already had some people come and just bring their own original lyrics and record music. On top of that, we've had people come and record spoken word as well. These are all different forms that people can express themselves and get their story out in a way that best suits them. In the future, we're also looking at getting art supplies so that people can come and they can draw or paint or what have you, as well as getting just some writing utensils. We have a lot of really, really talented writers that I know of here in the community that can just sit and they can write beautiful stories just about what they've gone through. So we want to be a space where, people can express themselves in whatever way that they want. So that's the Story Studio in a nutshell. For you guys, listeners or watchers or whatever you guys want to be deemed, you guys have an interesting perspective, because with the Story Studio, we wanted to not only be a place where people can come and share their story, we want to be a place where we're encouraging other people to take time to sit and listen to other people's stories. So I don't know how long I've been talking already, so if you're still listening, thank you. I really, really appreciate it. So what'll happen with these stories, really it depends on the storyteller. They can remain anonymous, their story, whether it's recorded or not, it doesn't have to be put out there. It's a big deal, even just if someone were to sit down and talk with a friend or just talk to the camera and record their story that way. It doesn't need to be shared. If they want it to be, we're going to have a bunch of USB drives so people can take their story to share it with their friends and their family. I'd love to see grandparents coming and just sharing about, different recipes or their own personal story. It doesn't need to be shared super broad. It can be just for your family, and that's okay. We're going to have a local archive where people can come here to the Story Studio to listen to other stories that people are okay with being public, but not public. More just still trusting people that are just here in the Story Studio to watch these stories. And then finally, hopefully there will be some people that are open to also having their stories posted publicly. So you can be watching on YouTube or on Facebook or whatever platform you're watching on. Just know that when you do get to see someone's story online, it's such an honor to be able to listen and take in other people's stories. And that should be celebrated, because it's not easy and it's not for everyone to come and sit and just share their stuff. That's the Story Studio in a nutshell. Hopefully in the coming weeks and even months, you guys will be able to see even more stories posted on YouTube as well as Facebook. If you ever want to learn more about the Story Studio, you can visit that at our website, icya.ca. Thank you so much again for listening. We can't wait to share more with you.